Thank you. I would like to start with an apology for my voice, actually. I've been sick the last few days, lying in bed with no voice. Thankfully, it appeared to come back a bit, but I might still have to take some pauses and drink a bit of tea in between. I will try my best. Okay, I'm here because I'm the managing director of Austrian Startups. Austrian Startups is a non-profit association here in Austria that tries to promote the idea of innovative entrepreneurship here. Why do we think it needs something like that? Actually, we see three developments going on in our world that make more entrepreneurship necessary. The first one, as you can see here, this is the Forbes cover about 10 years ago. I think it's exactly 10.5 years ago, actually. And as it says, Nokia, can anyone catch the cell phone king? It really shows that nobody can predict the future anymore, that even in really short time frames, even 2-3 years later, it was already a completely different world. And that really envisions that we're living in a world of extreme uncertainty. You all know Moore's law. Technological progress is developing quicker and quicker, and it gets more difficult for the large corporates to stay on board with this. And that's actually an advantage for smaller units, for startups, for smaller businesses, because they are more flexible. The second thing is, whoop, that's the wrong slide. Hi, I'm Markus. In 1876, the phone came on the market. And it took 50 years to reach 15 million users. Does anyone in the room have an idea how long it takes nowadays to reach 50 million users? How much? 2 hours? A very bold guess. Any others? We're getting there. It's actually, in 2016, it was Pokemon Go. It took 19 days. And that really shows that there are no barriers in our world anymore. And that's something incredibly enabling. Everyone in this room can change the world within a few months. It just needs something game-changing, something that really grasps people and that can go viral. And finally, if you look 20 years back, a local bookstore here in Vienna, if you're the best bookstore in the first district in Vienna, you had a really nice life. You had a lot of success. I guess you were very happy with your business. And nowadays, obviously, things are different, because nowadays we have Amazon around. And what we see with Amazon, we are seeing in more and more industries. It's the economy of superstars. It means that only a few global players dominate the market and leave very little space for any other people. And that makes it necessary that while it's good and while it can be very successful to be a small unit, that you have the ability and also the vision to really grow quickly. It's this worldwide competition that makes it essential that you don't stay within your own limits, but really go global. And all three of them together, again, made us think we need to change Austria, because Austria in 2013, the startup landscape looked like this. You can see it's not a lot going on here. It's a few players that nowadays are really successful already, a lot of them, but back then it was a really small family. And what we saw then was that the few people who actually did something, they came together on a, I would say, monthly basis to discuss how they can accelerate this topic in Austria. And that's actually how Austrian Startups was born. They came together for a Stammtisch. That's what we call in Austria if regularly people come together in a restaurant or in a bar and discuss what's going on. And those few people, they were actually the basis for Austrian Startups. That's how Austrian Startups as an organization was founded. And, well, now 5 years on, it looks a bit different. That's actually, the image comes from the end of 2016. it's still, there's much, much more. Every time I present this slide, afterwards startups come to me and say, why are we not on this slide? So I could probably fill already 3 slides with the Austrian startups, but it just shows there's a lot of growth going on. Also the ecosystem. The really awesome thing is that it wasn't just us, this was a lot of people get going there and joining us in this movement. And nowadays we really have a bright ecosystem here in Austria. And this is actually what our Stammtisch looks nowadays. So from this small table where a few people came together to discuss recent developments, we've come to an event that's happening monthly with about 200 to 300 people coming together every month. And actually there in the middle and also in the previous pictures, that was the former Austrian Chancellor. Back when this picture was taken 1 year ago, he was still the active Austrian Chancellor. So it also shows that on a political level, we managed to actually get some awareness for this topic and get them to do something. So, for sure, it's just the beginning, but I think in the last 5 years, we've really managed to get some progress happening here in Austria. And so, let me maybe quickly show you how we did that. We focused on 3 pillars of Austrian startups. Those are Inspire, Connect, Change. Going a bit more into detail, you can see that when we are talking about inspiration, we're trying to motivate people to get going, to actually show them that they are absolutely empowered to do something here, that everybody can change something and that everybody should be empowered. We're doing this with our communication channels. We have more than 35,000 followers all over our social media channels. We are holding keynotes and panel discussions like today, trying to push this agenda, and we're giving interviews in media, simply trying to promote the entrepreneurial thinking in Austria more. The second one is the topic of Connect. While with Inspire, we're trying to get people on board here. With Connect, we're trying to connect them with the right people that can actually help them grow. And we're doing that by being a platform for exchange. We're organizing these monthly meetups in every county nowadays, but we're also having local representatives, so actual physical people in every county that you can talk to, that they can help you with your startup, they can connect you with the right people. We have an online resource here trying to map the ecosystem where everybody can register and put themselves online. And we have several other event series where we go more on a granular level. So we are connecting startups with investors, we are connecting startups with potential mentors and advisors, and we are connecting the stakeholders in the ecosystem. And the third part, Change, is where we actually act as a think tank, where we're trying to do research to actually help decision makers in Austria create a better environment. That on the one hand involves writing recommendations, community-based recommendations for politicians what needs to change, but on the other hand, also simply doing quantitative research, mapping the current situation and seeing what kind of problems startups occur. And finally, we are also acting as a sounding board. Sounding board means we are considered as experts by the government and invited to give our opinion if they have questions, if they are not sure about something. And we believe there's a few things that are really essential for what we are doing. The first one, and that's always going to be the first principle, is that we are independent and neutral. Such a platform can only exist when it takes away any political affiliations and also tries to stay neutral within the ecosystem. Because for sure, there's all kinds of interest involved, and that's really the first principle. There shouldn't be any involvement there. Second, obviously need some entrepreneurial experience. Doesn't have to be startup experience, but what really was sure when we began with Austrian startups, that all of us who started it, they were really deeply ingrained in the startup ecosystem. Those were the people founding startups, but also helping startups. Those were the people who were dealing with startups on a regular daily basis. And the third one, it's the network. And that's something you've got to build. It's something that takes time, and it took time both on the startup level, where we were very much involved in building this network, but also on the political level. Because if you want to actually have some impact in Austria, it involves different levels. It involves, okay, you have to convince the decision maker why it's necessary to change. And then you have to go one level lower on the cabinet level and actually tell them exactly what needs to change, the legal text. And then, if you know Austria, there's also a lot of special interest groups. And ideally, you also get them on board, because if you don't do that, then they will try to move against what you're trying to do. So this network is something you've got to build when you want to build an ecosystem, and also what you have to foster if you want to go on. For sure, what we're doing is based on an awesome team. It starts, as I said, with a leadership where, if you're in Austria, you probably know a few people, founders, enablers, doers, makers here in the Austrian ecosystem. But in the end, Austrian startups is there nowadays where it is because of these people. We have more than 50, mostly volunteers in Austria, all over Austria, in each of the counties too, who share our vision and who are very passionate about changing Austria together with us. And those are incredibly diverse. Together, they founded more than 20 companies. They are between 17, that's actually pupils, up to 45 years old, people who have already 20 years of corporate experience. It's founders, it's students, it's employees, it's change makers, and they are from 13 different countries. And those are the people who really enable us. And without this community that we've built around the core team, that would have not been possible. For sure, it makes sense to have a very broad advisory board too, and that's what we've done with our advisory board. From the investment side, over the founder side, over actual ecosystem side, we've tried to bring together some of the most well-known faces of Austria's startup ecosystem to advise us what's smart to do and what's not. And with all that coming together, we've managed to inspire up to 160,000 people per month through our channels. That's our best month up to date, but on just one channel. So there's a lot going to happen just by communicating. We've connected more than 15,000 participants of our events, and we've changed Austria. And that's what's really amazing. We've changed Austria because with our impact, there have been now 10 public startup initiatives already started and still going on that make it easier for startups in Austria to succeed. For sure, as I said, we're still a long way from where we want to be, and that's why we've set now for the future of Austrian startups a new vision which says that entrepreneurship should be as common as skiing in Austria. Most of you who are not from Austria will probably raise their eyebrows and say, what the fuck? What has skiing to do with entrepreneurship? Well, actually, Austria is very, very fond of skiing. It's what we do with our 3-year-olds. We just put them on the slopes and say, let's go. And that has something it has similarities with the startup mindset, where it's important to actually make mistakes and to learn from these mistakes. And in every school, we have skiing courses. Every pupil in Austria will get the skiing course. And what we do on our weekends, we follow when our best skiers ski in the Olympics and win their medals there. And that's what we want to see more when it comes to the topic of entrepreneurship too. We want this general national identification with our entrepreneurs, with the people who actually change the world coming from Austria. And there, I can really invite you to join us. It's very simple. Just support us on Facebook, subscribe our newsletter, join our events. If you are from a corporate background, if you are maybe wanting to help us, become a sponsor. It's very easy. Just write an email there. We'll give you all the options. We want to change Austria for the better, and that's my invitation for you. Please help us succeed here, and let's go there together. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me afterwards. I'll be around. Otherwise, my email address is here. I'm looking forward to engaging with a lot of you and wish you still a very nice day here. Enjoy conference. Bye-bye.